Welcome, everybody. I am so glad to have you here, and I am so glad to have one of my all-time favorite people, Angela Hughes, today to talk all things trips and ships. So many of us are in these groups, and everybody's asking about what host agency do you belong to, and who should I join, or I'm looking to make a switch, or I'm a new travel agent. Where should I go? And the answers to that are really limitless. It really depends on so many things, so many needs that you may have inside of your own business. There's a lot of great host agencies out there, but each one serves a unique need and helps you in your journey. And I'll tell you that Trips and Ships is very different from some of the larger host agencies and some of the more mass market agencies. So I wanted to welcome you. Thanks so much for being here today, Angela.
Thanks for having me.
One of the things that I really love about Trips and Ships that is so unique, and we can back up here is, if you'd like, but is that you are unlike some other host agencies in that you spend a significant amount of time on the road personally vetting these smaller curated tour operators, just boots on the ground in destinations, DMCs, etc., visiting properties. So tell me a little bit about your thought process behind that. Like, what led you down that pathway? Because I know you traveled a lot as a kid, but really your
Yeah,
travels have been magnified during COVID and since COVID.
yeah. I think you're right. When I was younger, I traveled always with my parents. They were in the travel business as well, and then we homeschooled our kids. And so back before Instagram was popular and all of that, I was taking my kids to big destinations, and we were spending a significant amount of time not only educating them there, but also traveling. It helped me with my work, but it also helped them with their education. And that's where my love of like bespoke travel really came into play, is that I was always piecing together pretty much my own permanent trips, but I could take that knowledge and then pass it on. During COVID, obviously, I was trying to rebuild our business and probably went to 30 destinations within 2 years. And most of them were repeats for me. I mean, I've been to over, 100 countries, and a lot of them multiple times, Africa, you know, 7, 8, 9 times, and so, a lot of them are always new, but I'm looking for different things every time I go. And, partially it's a little bit about vetting our suppliers, but it's, a lot of our suppliers come through our consortium anyway, so I don't need to do that. But it's also creating that relationship, looking for brand new things. I mean, we work in a really bespoke clientele. And so, I need to know what's hot, what's not. And I'm still actively selling travel as well. And I think that's the difference where most agency owners are not, they're managing a shop. I actually have a really robust client base myself. And so I'm doing exactly what our entry level person's trying to do. I'm always looking for the next best thing. And if I can bring that to our advisors and help them train on that and give them a leg up of what took some of us 20 years to accomplish, it's more power to us.
What are some
And
of the
it's working.
differences? What are some of the differences that you're seeing in your own personal experience and really still actively involved in booking and curating trips? What are the differences that you're seeing in your agents who are moving over to your host agency?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's the confidence. Like when people come to our agency, I just expect like a parent would like, hey, I don't care if you haven't sold Africa or Greece or the Galapagos and you've only been in sunset and sand destinations. I expect you to jump in that, learn it and do it. And that's what I love is like, I want people to come in and act like a boss at like 2 weeks or at 20 years. And I just almost don't even take no for an answer for that, because that's really a confidence thing, that people don't move into bigger destinations because they lack the confidence, because they feel like they haven't traveled there, or they feel like they don't understand a destination. And that's the hump that we're trying to it help people get over is that how to do it, you know? And it really comes down to what I always say, three things of knowing your geography, knowing your vendor, and then, you know, having the confidence to sell that and offer it, even if you haven't traveled there. And I like to develop that early in the beginning with my advisors and, you know, and the same with fees, like come in, charge fees. Like you don't need to be afraid of charging fees. Like you start that way, you'll always do it. So, you know, it's expectations of doing things just a little bit different.
You know, when I first started as a travel advisor, I was with an initial host and then I moved on to a larger host. But I remember when I first started out, I really didn't know where to go to find suppliers.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes even within the portals that these host
Yeah.
agencies provide to you, you don't realize there's a plethora of them in there. But if I found that some of them weren't meeting my needs and I needed more and I didn't know
Yeah.
where to go. And had I found you guys from the beginning, I would have been able to tap into some of those
Right.
suppliers that I didn't know about, especially for those highly curated components to the trips. You know, as my confidence grew, as my book of business grew, as I went to another host agency who
Right.
provided more of that level of direction, it did help me throughout my journey. But I would say a huge difference, and what's not created equal, is um, the knowledge about how to find suppliers, and it's okay to think outside the box. And then also having that leg up to get into that premium and luxury space. I think I told you early on, and a lot of people know, I became a top agent for Regent Seven Seas Cruises. I never heard of them before I became an agent. And
Right.
so I think about the trajectory that I could have had in the premium and luxury space had I really had this finely tuned set of operators and DMCs around the world and somebody to get me there faster, right? Because I knew where I wanted to go. And so when I look at you guys and I look at what you're doing with your agents, that's what I think is I think if you really want to get to that premium and luxury space, having somebody who is traveling around the world, who is vetting all of these folks, who is serving on alliances and boards inside of your consortia to help contribute to the expansion of those preferred suppliers is really important. And that's why I think you're so different.
Well, I'm actually really proud of that, and thank you. Yeah, we've brought a lot of, you know, some of our personal lists of suppliers to Internova that they've adopted. Um, you know, Internova has their own criteria for accepting destination management companies and hotel brands and everything, and you know, it's based on how many suppliers they've got in their that region as well. And so some of them have been turned down, and others they've added to the list. And yeah, I'm proud that we brought some, you know, really fine players to the consortia level, because that provides even more backup for me if I run into a bind, and need the support of the consortia. You know, going back to being an advisor, I think the missing piece for a lot of people is they sign up for a host agency, and you know, you get just so much. It's like a bucket of water coming over your head of like, here's where you find this, here's how you do this, here's how you start, here's how, you know, and people just get so overwhelmed with everything that they don't even really know where to find the list. And you know, we'll show them even in our onboarding, like here's our list of suppliers, here's our list of, and then when it comes push to shove to like actually book a trip, they really, you know, I have to go back and go, now where did they say that supplier was, and who do I use for that? And you know, I was in on that training, but how do I access that? And so that there's always that missing component that needs to be worked on, and it's okay. You know, they just need to know how to get to the tools. And at our agency, we like to show you how to get to the tools. You know, we like to show you how to use the tools, how to get to the tools. I'm a tool person. And you know, we want people successful knowing how to use them and not just being familiar with a vendor. Anybody can be familiar with a vendor. There's a big difference in being a salesperson, an advisor, and you know, just showing up to a vendor training. Those are three different things.
What are the qualities you look for when you're adding folks to your host agency? Because I know it's not a free for all. You have enrollment periods. You also look at the advisor. So what are some of the criteria? And in some cases, the travel experience would not be applicable because they would be a brand new advisor. So maybe they don't have that. So what are the three or five
Yeah.
qualities that you look for?
I mean, and to be honest, we had 11 people up until 2019. We didn't ever add any more people. We weren't interested in adding people. And it was in 2019 when my parents left the agency industry that I made the decision, like, let's add more people. And it's hard to add people because you're competing with other agencies and other host agency costs and commission structure levels. And you've got to train your people. I mean, it takes a lot to run an agency. And so for advisors who, think that they want to go out and bring on a ton of sub agents and everything, I mean, you have no idea what you're in for. I mean, there's a lot in that sphere. But the thing is, I'm actually looking for like more of an entrepreneurial mindset, somebody who wants to grow and develop a business. I will take a new advisor that has no experience any day over somebody who's been around for 10 years and who's just dragging at another agency. Because if you're dragging at another place, you're probably going to be dragging at mine because something's going on inside that needs to be adjusted. And I love the nurse that wants to come over. I love the school teacher that wants to come in because they're moldable. I can take them and go, this is how we do it. You start out charging fees, you start out selling this, you start out doing this, and that expectation's there. If they've come from another agency, that's fine too. We've had some success with that, but generally, there's systems and tools missing, or, they've been around for 5-6 years and they just haven't made it there. I don't, we're interested, but, it's a mindset thing. Like I can almost tell immediately in talking to advisors whether they've got it or not, and I'll give anybody a chance that wants to be in this industry because I feel like this is an industry where people can come in. This is America. You can start a new business. I love free enterprise. But I can almost tell immediately in talking to people whether or not, we're looking for business people because you're running a business. We've talked about that so many times. You are running a business. This is not come in and just play house, with like I think I said in my most recent article that's getting a little bit of feedback. This is not a recreational idea. It's not a retirement idea. You're running a business.
Yeah, and also I would say that your host agency is probably not for somebody who's looking for the lowest monthly fee with the highest commission split and all of the tools, and they want everything for free, right? And I think that's really important to point out. And I know it's talked about a lot, and I know that there are a lot of options out there, but you're really committed to developing your agents, and that takes a serious investment on your part, and also the investment that you make to curate a lot of these relationships around the world. So we've had lots of conversations about that, and you know how I feel about it. It's an
Yeah.
investment. And if you really want to move into the premium and luxury space, then you really should, and you want to be really successful and be that six-figure travel advisor, then start thinking about the investment piece of it, because and what others are investing in you to help you to get where you need to be.
Yeah, and that's really what it is. And I mean, I think the difference is, we're taking people, and I spend a tremendous amount of talk time with my advisors. I mean, I know them all like almost like they're my teenagers, and I love to grow their business development with them. I like them to have a business development plan. I like to know where they're at. I like to know what they're focusing on. When I just took my agents to Tahiti, I literally sat down with each one of them and said, like, where can we tweak this? Where can you grow? Where are you good at? Have you considered this? And I think there's a little bit of a difference with that because a lot of host agencies focus on their like top 10%, whoever their top grossing people are, you know. I have a strong interest in my non-grossing people too that are developmental stage because I think it's important. I see everybody as a winner. and I'm like, again, they just need a roadmap. And I've seen a lot of success with people that joined me 2 years ago that are making over 6 digits now, because they've taken the time, they're consistent, and then we've tweaked where their strengths are. And I'm really proud of that.
Have you seen a noticeable difference with your agents? Because I know you do take a lot of them on these different trips. You just did the
Yeah.
Tahiti trip. You've had a lot of them in Italy and different parts of the world. You've done Mexico. You've made arrangements with all of these suppliers to bring your agents on board. What is I mean, I would think it would be fun and you would start to see just these aha moments for these agents after this happens. Um, is that what you're seeing inside of your business and with some of these folks who have
Oh,
come over
absolutely.
to you?
Yeah, I mean, I just had an agent here in Windermere, Florida, join me. I guess probably 8 months ago, she came on our Tahiti trip, and she ended up, you know, we showed them, like, here's how you can maximize your social media, because that's the other thing. Like, I'm a strong marketer myself, and so I'm helping people grow in that space. And we're helping them with their social shares and upping their game, their strategies, things that have worked for us. But you know she hadn't really grown any type of social media following. She was fairly a new agent. She'd probably only booked a few trips and ended up closing probably a $300,000 incentive group off of the Tahiti trip. And it was with a different cruise line. But it was somebody local here who had been following her Tahiti story. And she had no idea. She's like, deer in the headlights, like, what do I do now? And I was like, bam, 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 let's just do it together. And she closed that baby before Christmas. And, it's like a parenting moment where you're like, I want to cry, when you see that type of success. And then we've seen other agents grow. I mean, I have an agent who is over $1 million now. And last year, a lot of her, 22 and 23 was, I'd say mostly, non-preferred suppliers, a lot of Expedia, a lot of Viator, a lot of piecing together things. She wasn't necessarily, going down kind of the preferred supplier route. She was always trying to kind of find the best deal. And, I, again, like a parent, have been working with her. I'm like, come on, use this supplier, twist this. And, you can only guide the horse to water so much. I mean, these people are independent. But one thing is, now she's over $1 million. She is on track with all preferred suppliers. She just made the Luxury Alliance with Travel Leaders, which you have to be at $1 million to be in the Luxury Alliance with them. And I make that a goal for all of our advisors, is like, I want you in the Luxury Alliance or the Destination and Honeymoon Alliance, the Romance Alliance with Travel Leaders, which has guidelines. I mean, they only take the best of the best. And then also a distinctive voyage host for the cruise lines. And she qualified for both of those. So within a year, she'd completely turned it around. And that took about 3 years. I mean, because, we had COVID and she came in 2019 and, and she just couldn't get over that hump of like taking all business, and I'm like, you don't have to take everything, you know, charge fees. She started charging fees, get more organized with your systems and tools. She did. And so I was so proud to see her like make all of those adjustments. And now she's at $1 million and she made over 6 digits this year. And, she's a single mom, and I'm really happy about that. I take a lot of pride in that type of developmental growth with every single one of our advisors,
Let me ask you about leads. Do you provide
Yeah.
leads to your agents?
Yeah, so that's kind of a really interesting topic, because Travel Leaders does have a really robust marketing program with their agent profiler. And I'd say agent profiler is I've had some of my best leads off there. I closed $150,000 safari off of there this year. I closed a world cruise off of that. I've got a lead today sitting on my desk for 15, Dr. Shaw going to the Galapagos, sold 2 Antarctica last week. And the thing with that is, I'm an SEO. I mean, you and I are both tech people, like I've studied that algorithm to the max, and we're really seeing it come true the way we've tweaked their profiles and, help them. And the ones that have followed what we've said get a lot of leads off of it, and they're really growing with that. Travel Leaders also has their engagement program that sends out hard copies, emails, and so leads come off of that as well. I sold a Regent cruise off of an email that they sent out for me that I did no work on. So, and I get tons of leads myself that I just can't service. I'm still selling. That's the thing. And I'm getting close to 3 million in personal sales this year. And it's February 20th. I'm probably not going to take on too much more business. I can't manage it. I gave leads. I was in Southeast Asia for a month, just got back 2 days ago, and gave every lead that was cold onto an agent. So I want to see people succeed, you know, and I want to see them like develop their business.
Well, that's great because leads are a
Going
huge
back to
issue.
fees, we do charge high fees because you know what, we want to maintain being kind of the Nordstroms of travel and not, an easy
Mhm.
Walmart host
And you know
agency.
what? Those fees are worth every penny because it is expensive to go out there and build a following and market yourself and build out your SEO and do all of the things that are needed to establish yourself in the marketplace, to
Yeah.
network, to do all of those things. It's incredibly expensive and it takes time, a lot of time. And so when you start thinking about different host agencies and what you want in your business, it's not black and white. It's not, this is my
Yeah.
commission split and this is my monthly fee. You need to think about what your needs are, where you are in your journey, how committed you are to this business, where you think you want to go. Would you prefer to have somebody who is readily available at the drop of a hat, right? To ask questions and also be inside of a team of individuals who are collaborating in the same way, who are on the same wavelength. I love being in my host agency that I'm with. I love the fact that we have all different types of agents who focus on different things like corporate travel and mass market, and we have some luxury and we have some of those things. And I don't see that a lot in side of some of them. And also it's harder because we do have more people. So I have my little friend group, but when you're a little bit smaller and you're tighter knit, I think that there's more opportunity for that collaboration, especially when you travel together, and having access directly to you is huge. We've had a couple of comments come in. Oh my gosh, Scott Wismont is on. And he
Oh, I
is
love Scott. Hi,
actually,
Scott.
I know, and he's on the Explorer right now in South America. So welcome, Scott. Jamie Collins says, I seriously need to update my TLN profile. I spend so much on Google Ads every month. I'm telling you, Jamie, when I had my TLN profile turned on, I was also getting a ton of leads. Now, nowhere near Angela. She has way more experience and she has a much longer track record in history, but it does pay in dividends. And then let's see, Ashley says, I wish I came across you when I was looking for a host. And she wants to know what commission splits you offer.
Yeah, so they're all on our page at luxurytravelagencyhost.com. And we offer everything from 65 to 90%. Pretty standard with the industry. And I always tell people, when they're looking at fees, because our annual fee is on the higher end for people. We are $500 a year annual fee. And then we do have a monthly fee attached to the commission structures as well. But I always tell people, hey, this is really, can you hear that outside?
Yeah.
My window cleaner's outside. Okay. It's like I'm in a car wash here, but I can hear it. I'm like mortified right now. But yeah, I always tell people like, you cannot look at like your fees. I say like, you could cover your fees in one river cruise sell. You know what I'm saying? You sell one river cruise, your fees are covered. We want you to sell 20. If you're looking at the perspective of like, I can't afford, let's just say $1,500 a year. I don't know what even my fees add up to, but let's say 1,500. And you're going, that's really high. I don't, you're probably not the right person for us because that's a really short-sighted, mindset that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can cover those fees. We want you making 6 digits a year. We want you making, $125,000 a year, where the fees and the investment that you make in travel and your fam trips and everything are covered, and those become write-offs for you, and you're looking for write-offs now because you're so profitable. The fees are minor. And I think new agents come in and they're worried so much about fees, they don't make a good decision on where they go. Because they get caught up in that mindset of like, oh my gosh, I'm paying $39 a month. This is not a gym membership, people. This is a business.
Well, over the years, we've formed a friendship. So, and I know this isn't
Mhm.
offered to everybody, but one of the things that I love the most about you is back when I was still booking, I could say, Angela, I have a client who wants to go to such and such place. Tell me about
Right.
it. And you could
Mhm.
just spit it off, like at the top of a hat, and I would give you a little description of my client. And to me, that 5-minute conversation and value that I got out of it was so incredible. And it allowed me to have the confidence to talk to my prospect and push the trip forward. And now I just know I go, here, this client, they're a former client of mine, they want Japan. Send it to your Japan person, and that's really great. I have the confidence knowing that now that I'm not booking, that that knowledge base, that firsthand knowledge is there so that my customers are really taken care of. So I see that as a huge benefit, right? I mean,
Yeah,
how
and
many people?
I appreciate you saying that. And we've talked about this, like my mind is like a processor, first of all. And, I've traveled so extensively all over the world 100 times over that I literally, if someone's like, I need to go to Nepal, could you write that for me? I could write that itinerary in 2 minutes, plug in the hotels, plug in the drivers, cars, DMC. And I could do that with every single destination in the world, inside and out, with hardly any effort.
Mhm.
And you don't get that with everybody. And I mean, I love to toot my own horn. I'm proud because, I've been in this business since I was 14. So track record there, but um that is really invaluable to our advisors now because, I had somebody text me last night and they're like, hey, what do you think about this for Japan? Would you use them? They've got a $50,000 budget. And I actually said, no, I would, let's use this because every client doesn't use the same. We don't use the same person for everybody. Our DMCs have personalities, our tour operators have. And I actually led that client to Kensington, which I generally would probably lead that to somebody else, but what she was doing warranted maybe just at Kensington, as simple as that. And that's the thing. I love to provide that guidance. It's almost a game for me. And I told you this when we first met, like, I'm not really in this business, the drive for me is not financial. And it never has been. And I think you make different decisions when you're not, how do we say that? When you're not, where the dollar's not
Motivated
like
by the
driving.
almighty dollar, I guess, or,
Yeah, by the
that's not.
almighty dollar. Yeah. I find more joy in somebody that just put together their first Italy trip and it was a success and they got great feedback than I do on the commission that we made. I mean, I can sell all day long, and outsell all of my advisors and be really profitable and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. That the IC base is it's not what fuels my passion every single day, because I can do that on my own. Um, what fuels me is the success each of them have when something grows for them, when they close an incentive group. I mean, we're really targeting our incentive groups, our corporate groups, our alumni groups. I mean, helping people move into the next stage of really growing their business. It's not just selling luxury. It never has been. I mean, you've got to multiply and scale if you want to make really great money.
Well, I want to know, do you support your agents growing a team under them? That's one of the questions that
Yeah,
just came.
absolutely. Yeah, we have sub-agents, and, your contracts help with. So yes, you can have sub-agents as well. We're set up for that, and we want people to have teams. That's a great way to multiply and divide. I mean, you're essentially running your own business, but the problem people get in when they bring on sub-agents is they usually can't supply the training or the support that they need. And, for them to bring on all the systems and tools too are really expensive. And so I think it pays to stay under a host and have a team because unless you are
Yes.
like, okay, I'm going to be really committed to that. It's a lot of work. I had an advisor who came in and has a couple of sub agents, and she finally texted me and said, I don't know how you do this. I can't stand it, and I'm
Well,
like,
you
just send
you
them to
know I'm a
me.
huge fan of the host model.
Yeah,
Listen, there are way more benefits to being a hosted agent than a non-hosted agent, from a time standpoint, a financial standpoint, development standpoint. There are so many things, and
yeah,
I'm not, I don't begrudge anybody who wants to be independent because I think we all have our own
sure.
journey, but having a team under a host and then having access to all of the tools that are available. So now you've been a sponge, Ashley, and you've gained all of this knowledge, and now you can start to add team members underneath you. It just, it multiplies.
Yeah, and I'd say really, it's a process. Like it's hard to bring people in if you don't know it yourself. And that's the difference. There's a lot of host agencies that have just sprung up in the last several years that, have grown big teams. We know them, but there's a difference between somebody that's been in the industry decades and, I also have the educational background with a master's degree and, the training side of it as well. And so, we're bringing something different to the table, I think. And, I think the numbers show it with 50,000 followers that are interested in what we have to say. And I think like my agent, I know, Travel Leaders is proud of what we're doing. And, we've had every consortia come to us and want us to join them. And, we're happy with where we're at and the choices we've made because I feel really strong about Internova as being the biggest luxury brand since 2020 when they acquired everything and they came on board with Albert Herrera and his team and brought over the in-country partners and the hotel partners. That is the fastest moving train in luxury. And I think it gives Virtuoso a pure run for the money, and everybody knows it in the industry. You go to Cannes, France, to ILTM, everybody knows Internova's the
I know
the
it.
the
It's
new.
amazing. It is absolutely amazing what they are doing. And it's like every time I turn around, they are
Yeah.
introducing something new. They're taking over a particular segment. It's just really phenomenal. I'm sorry, Rachel had a question come in, and I'm gonna chime in on this about supportive of agents switching from another host agency currently with Travel Leaders. So here's my take on it, Rachel, is that if in it throughout your career, it is very likely that you will move from one host agency to another. You'll do that at least once. And the reason I think that agents do that, and it's not a bad thing to do, is because in the beginning, we're finding our way. And
Yeah.
so we make a decision that is good for us at that moment, but maybe we've outgrown the agency we're with, or maybe our business, our plans for our business are taking a different path. So if there's somebody that you feel is a better fit for you, I would say don't hesitate to explore it and have those conversations. All host agencies, at least that we work with inside of TIS, are absolutely open to working with agents who have been under other host agencies. And as a matter of fact, there are some trends inside of different host agencies because we talk with those host agency presidents and executives. And they're like, yeah, we seem to like go back and forth with these two host agencies, and our agents move around here and there. So I'm going to let Angela, um, speak to that as well. But that's my take on it as somebody who was an agent and somebody who also now works with the executives inside of these host agencies.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of things happening. I mean, we don't really have a lot of movement within ours. If people leave our agency, it's generally because of a family issue or they're getting out of travel or, they're moving into, parenthood or something that just takes them away from the career. So I'm really happy that our people, we have people that have been with us since its inception. They were students of mine at Brigham Young University and, joined us clear back in the early 90s and still work with us. But I don't think you see the movement as much in small agencies because it's more of a family environment. You know, we know our people, we know their situations, we know their families, you know, we know them individually. When you're with somebody that has 4, 6, 8,000 advisors, there's a lot of movement happening there because people are feeling like I'm not getting any attention. You know, they offer training, but you know, I'm kind of just cycling through things. And that's okay. I mean, you know, there's benefits to belonging to those agencies. You know, I just got off training one of those agencies today. They have 10,000 advisors, you know, and they're adding people every single day. You know, so I see that. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are really profitable in some of those big agencies. Um, you know, is it uncommon to leave an agency right off the bat? No, because I think Sheila said it best is like, originally, a lot of people don't know what they're signing up for when they get in and they pick something, you know, you go out and ask somebody like, oh, you know, this always comes up in my Facebook group, like, what host agency should I join? And they say, go to, you know, what's that host agency site that,
Oh, host
you know what I'm
agency
talking about?
reviews. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, host agency reviews, and you know, and that's all padded up with a bunch of reviews, you know, from you know all of the major agencies, and so then people make a decision, and we're not even on there. I don't even choose to be on there. I don't feel like I need to be on there. I don't feel like, you know, I feel like people come to us word of mouth, um, you know, and then they select something, or they base it on fees. You know, a lot of times people come in because it's the cheapest fee, or they want to come in and with relatively no barrier to entry. And I again keep my fees higher because I don't want the I want the barrier to entry, frankly, with people. Yeah.
All right, so we're going
So
to wrap it up here in a few minutes. I want to end this with 5 quickie questions that are kind of off the
okay.
cuff. So before I go into the questions, I guess I wanted you to let everybody know again how they can find out about your host agency, and then anything else that you want to share about how to sign up or something that we haven't covered.
Yeah. So again, we have a website, luxurytravelagencyhost.com. I hope that's it.
Okay.
But we'll chat. Yeah. And, you know, after somebody applies to work with us, we put them through an onboarding with us, and, you know, we get them training immediately with us. And I like people selling immediately. I don't like people to feel like they have to grow their agency and website and all these things. I like people to get out there, start selling. You learn more from selling than you do from developing any day. So we want to get you up and going quickly, you know.
I agree. All right. So if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
I wish you would have given me a list of these questions before.
All right, we'll skip that one because we're making them fast.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, I've got to think that one.
what's the most memorable piece of advice you've ever received?
I think the most memorable, and I don't even know if it's advice, but I think my advice for myself is like, you've got to be a boss. You've got to believe in yourself from the beginning. You know, this is a game of confidence, and you know, I tell people like the advice that I give people on stage is this is not your real job. Your real job is in your home and with your family. And what you do in travel supports those inner relationships. And those are the most important relationships. So that's probably not advice I've received, but that's advice that I give all my advisors and that I expect of them is like, you know, if you want to run a good business, you have to be running a good home and you've got to be running a good family.
I love
Because
that.
everything internally to you reflects in your business. And most people who are not excelling in their business, it's usually something's going on at home or in their marriage or something that's, you know, blocking them from being their best selves. So
I love that. Okay, if you could magically acquire a new skill overnight, what would it be?
probably search engine optimization skills. I feel like I'm always deficit in that.
Okay, what's the one book or movie that you can watch over and over?
Yeah, well, I love the book Grit. It's one of my favorite books, and I think it's a must read. I used to make all my students read Grit.
Okay.
You know, and Grit really just talks about how about consistency, and I think that's really important in the travel industry is, getting up every single day. Agents aren't successful because they don't put in the time.
Yeah.
They dabble, they show up every Thursday maybe, or when their neighbor says they want to go on vacation and they haven't looked at anything for 3 weeks and they can't remember their passwords and they haven't posted. And, you know, being successful is about being consistent. Losing
Great.
weight's about being consistent. Having a good marriage is about being consistent every day. I don't watch a lot of television, or movies. I just don't have the time. But if I was going to, it would probably be a historical British piece,
Me too. Okay.
like a Jane
All right.
Austen or something.
I know. I'm totally hooked on, anything that is, in that realm. Okay.
Yeah, if it's some period piece, I'm all
Period
good.
piece, I'm all in, right? And
Yeah,
I've already gone through
yeah,
all of them. So, all right,
yeah,
this
me
is the
too.
last one, and this is probably going to be the hardest one for you. I know it probably will be.
Oh no. Okay.
If you could only travel to one country for the rest of your life, where would it be?
Oh gosh. That is so hard for me.
I
I lived in Japan.
know.
Um,
I know what mine is. It's like, I know. So, but
Oddly enough, I'd probably say New England because I'm a New Englander through and through. That's where I raised my kids. And as much as I love other places around the world, I think, I love
that's
the
the
East Coast.
destination. Mhm.
Yeah, and I could spend every summer in Nantucket and, in my old neighborhood, really. That really wasn't that amazing, but, I love Boston. I have Red Sox tickets. But, I don't know. That's so hard, because I spend a tremendous amount of time in Europe every year, like bordering 3 and 4 months. So,
Well,
there's
see,
a
I
lot of
feel
places
like
there.
I should have been born a
Yeah,
Bahamian because I go to the
yeah,
Abacos. I've been going to
yeah,
the
all the
Abacos
time.
for
Yeah,
30 years and I can go again and again and again. And I used to spend my summers there. And that's my
yeah.
place. Like if I could only go to one place for the rest of my life, that would be me.
Yeah, and honestly, I spend every summer in Europe. So I feel like Europe's almost like home for me. My daughter's in school over in England, so I don't know. Well, it changes, you know.
Well, great. I am so glad that you were here today. And I miss seeing your face. I mean, we
I know.
talk, but I don't get to actually see you except some of your pictures that you post. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I know this has been hard because you've been traversing the world. Are you even home now? I don't know. Usually I say, where are you
No,
today?
well, I just got home from 4 weeks and I leave Monday to Africa again. So with another alumni group and yeah, it's a little crazy right now.
So
And I
guys,
always tell people like, this is not normal. Like, I don't, I'm not going to be doing this for 100 years, but I've been doing it for quite a few years. So I don't know,
all right, so guys, if you guys are looking for more of a boutique type host agency that is led by somebody who travels extensively, is spending her life vetting a lot of these suppliers and destinations, and it's more of a smaller family atmosphere, and you really want to move into premium, luxury, corporate, incentive, larger groups, or even if you are living in that contemporary or mass market space and you want to learn how to increase your commission levels and learn strategies around that, or your income, I should say, then please go check out Angela Hughes Host Agency at, one more time, Luxury Travel Agency Host.
travelagencyhost.com.
All right, great. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a great rest of your week.